It's a pleasure to be here, to be with this community, and to share on wholeness. I had breakfast with Carol Rose at a networking event, and I said, well, what should we talk about? And she said, well, I'm going deeper in understanding the word wholeness, because that's what we're saying on our vision statement and our mission statement. My new minister is the wholeness that I am. So I let that marinate. I get ideas and I let them marinate. And then if ideas and things start coming to me, then I go, okay, we'll have that conversation. So today that's what I want to do, is to share with you. And my hope is that through sharing more and going deeper into that word, wholeness, and my experience and your experience, you'll become a body that radiates that vibration, to attract that vision, to attract that perfect person, and to attract those other people who are in your tribe, to fill this room with people with the new hope and with the staying power of your teachings. Because this is so important. We are in a transition time in this world, in this evolution of mankind. And we think it's going to happen overnight, but it may not. So the seeds that we plant today are so important for the future. And this week last week actually, I think it was the poetry contest in the Reporter. And this honorable mention poem spoke to me about this community. So I want to start with this. The Definition of Tragedy by Robert Wilder. The definition of tragedy, the Chinese exchange student explained, is when something precious is broken in front of you and you're forced to watch until every last piece is ground to dust. No one said anything in class after that, all the American students having been fed Western definitions from Cliff Notes versions of Odysseys and Oedipi. As the teacher, I'm required by pedagogical law to fill silences with open-ended questions or affirming hums, sounds to cushion sadness and atonal beats of the human heart. But that day, something had already broken inside of me, something fragile, like an ancient vase from some far-off dynasty. Now I remember, that wasn't the assignment at all. I wanted the students to write about the opposite of tragedy, not tragedy itself, because everybody knows the sad stuff already. In needle-perfect English, the Chinese exchange student continued, the opposite of tragedy must be something held close or kept whole by love. I reached out with my arms to illustrate her point, but managed only to knock a dictionary onto the floor, which startled almost everyone, except the Chinese exchange student, who was too busy dreaming of home. It almost made me cry, because it describes your journey. You know, you didn't let it go to dust. You let the love hold it together. And the reason we're all on this planet is because we decided it would be a good idea to leave home and come and have some adventures and some experiences and some wounding and some breaking apart and some disconnection, so we could work our way back to home. And that's what I discovered about wholeness. Now, do I have my graph? I didn't lose it. Did I hear? You can look up words. In the Inner Peace Movement, which was the program I was in, the mentor that I had, Francisco Cole, would sometimes do whole retreats on words and have us read the definitions of the words. And then in groups, in small groups, talk to each other and share quickly what our definition was. Because the power of the word is our breath going through our unique vocal cords and our unique filter of experience. So wholeness to one person is something totally different to another person. In every aspect of life, that's the way it is. That's why we have difficulty communicating with each other, because we have different definitions for words. So good old Google will give you a definition, but you can also find this. This is a graph that shows the mentions how many times it was mentioned. It doesn't tell you what that scale is. And then the years. So in the 1800s, wholeness started to be heard, and then there was a little blip. Something happened. Then 1850, it was sort of straight. 1900s, it started to go up. Around World War II, it started to go higher, and look at how high the use of the word wholeness has become. We're on the right track here. And I love to look up definitions. So yesterday in the cold, I have a friend who has a dictionary, one of those school dictionaries that's this thick. It's a 1957 Merriam-Webster dictionary. I started to write notes, and it was so cold, I thought, wait a minute, I have a camera. I have a camera in my phone. I can write down what the words, because I wanted to know the origins. And what are the origins? And the origins of the word whole as an adjective, it's Middle English, and I can't pronounce all the words that they say, but they're all words that are whole, holal, holly, complete, all, well, healthy, is what those words mean. And the Anglo-Saxon word, hal, with a long A, means sound, healthy, akin to well, and a Bible quote that it lists here from Matthew, "They that be whole need not a physician." Some of the definitions are that it's being uninjured or without signs of injury or a wound, not broken or defective, unimpaired. And the noun for whole is the entire thing without loss of parts or elements or members. And they didn't have wholeness. So I looked up ness, and the suffix ness means in the general state, condition, quality, or degree, as in goodness. So wholeness is not being broken. But how many got out of your 0 to 7 years not a little broken? You know? And the whole idea of wholeness, and I looked at the word whole and holy, they sort of go together too. And it's interesting that in the word wholeness, there is a whole. You know, all these things came to me as I was thinking about this. And I wrote down some of the qualities that ring to me about what wholeness is. Acceptance, recognition, suspension of beliefs, open-mindedness, patience, respect. Those are aspects of wholeness. In your mind, think of what kinds of words come to you about wholeness. And holiness and wholeness, I wrote down, all of life is holy. It really is. If there's only one God, all of life is holy. Death is holy, birth is holy, pleasure is holy, pain is holy, growth is holy, joy is holy. It's all about the wholeness. And sometimes it's really hard to welcome the pain, to welcome the anger, to welcome the sadness, to welcome the grief. And that's the resistance. And when there's resistance, what I found is that's when it gets worse. That's the cause of the suffering that I may have had. That make this go away. I'm holding on to it really tight, but make it go away. We cry out and we worry and we wonder and we confuse. And the failure that we feel is really just universal feedback. I love that. Failure is just universal feedback going, not this door, try that one. You're loved by me, but not that way, this way. You know, it's feedback. It's a confirmation that we're in the game of life. We're experiencing life. We're getting out there. We're doing something. If you're just sitting on the sofa, you know, the more we can do, the more we are involved, the more we're active, the more there is the chance for failure. Isn't that fun? No. We'd like it to be more fun.